Welcome to Eternal Paradigm. Together we're uncovering the human experience and exploring physical, mental, emotional and spiritual stories with me, your host, Amy Ravel. Welcome to this episode of Eternal Paradigm. I hope you're enjoying your journey to find you. So someone recently asked me why I started podcasting in the first place. What made me start? And if you've heard my intro episode, you'll know what the concept is of Eternal Paradigm. You'll know where it kind of all started from and what things matter to me. But I kind of also thought I should share my why with you. And, when I had this conversation, it really got me to put out there what my why is. And I hope that as I share it with you, it connects with you in some way. So you know that podcasting for me is a relatively new hobby, and it has just really turned into a bit of a passion, and I absolutely love it. And it all started because I simply know so many phenomenal people, and I wanted to showcase all of their amazingness in a way where I wasn't really controlled or told because, the editor or a producer or someone else didn't want it to be a certain way or that they had a specific agenda in mind. And that's why it really looks at human experience, because it's so vast and so different. So for me, what really happened with Eternal Paradigm is that it's just resulted in this huge snowball effect. And the more and more incredible people that I have on this podcast, on this platform, who are willing to connect and talk and share their stories with you, it's kind of expanding and it's getting bigger. And I am just absolutely amazed that this is possible. What's come of this is the fact that I've been able to connect with people who themselves are setting up podcasts or have podcasts. And this immense, amazing community of people has just kind of turned up on my doorstep overnight. And it's amazing. And so I guess I just wanted to share that with you. With my podcast, I wanted to create a space where we can really literally marvel in our own ubiquity and truly understand what connects us. I know that we all have a story to tell, and if I ask you the right questions, the story will start to unfold. But what's also happened as each one of my guest stories have unfolded is that they've walked into new possibilities, new opportunities. And to me, this just highlights the power of human potential and valuable human connection. And to kind of the cherry on top, really, is that I'm really nosy and a bit curious too. So that kind of helps. And I'm just so grateful that people are willing to come onto this platform to talk and to share really personal experiences. So for me to be here, just here and now, and you listening to this episode is astonishing. And I am truly grateful for each and every one of you. Whether this is your first episode that you're listening to, or whether you've been here with me from the start of this journey, your story matters. Your experience is real and it's yours. And we're here together when we're talking, when I'm talking and you're listening. The whole point is to really get you to think and for you to understand that you are important, that you matter, what you think is important, how you feel is important, and that I'm here to listen. And that there are so many people out there like me who are here to listen and not devalidate your experience. I don't even know if devalidate is a word, but hey, I'm making it up as I go along. But it's real. Going on from the kind of slightly semi-serious intro to, I want to kind of update you guys on what I've been doing in case you've missed it. So I did my first Instagram live, and guys, I mentioned in the reflections episode before Christmas again, which some of you may have heard. And I said that this year there are loads of different things planned, and a lot of it's been getting underway. So I did my first Instagram live, and you will be able to see it. I've put a link to this on my Facebook page, and I'm grateful for Amstecker Photography for letting me join him and his team for the second series in their positivity campaign. It was quite interesting, and you will see if you watch the recording back that I had to update my Instagram app because it wasn't letting me go on as a speaker. So that should tell you how much I really don't like. Well, I haven't really stepped out of my comfort zone to show my face around the place, you see. So that was quite hilarious. So sharing that with you. But moving on to March, we are in March right now, and I'm recording this on International Women's Day. So happy International Women's Day stroke week to everybody out there. Okay, let's celebrate femininity and everything to do with, I want to say everything to do with the mass power of female energy as a dimension. And for anyone that's following on my Instagram, you will know what that means. The other thing that's been happening this month is that I have been holding a room in Clubhouse. So if you listen to the previous 2 episodes, you will know that March is Clubhouse month. And every Saturday, 7 o'clock UK time, I am joined by various different guests, some who have been guests on my podcast, some who are going to be guests on my podcast. And we talk about a topic that is relevant to all of us. And yeah, it's amazing. So Saturday just gone, we spoke about seeking wisdom in a knowledgeable world. And thank you for those of you who are listening who are able to join. I appreciate that the platform, the actual app is not widely available yet. So it was very, very amazing to actually have an intimate kind of collection of people from all over the world who were able to join us. And it was just astonishing and amazing. And the guests who joined me in the Clubhouse rooms are soon to be guests on the podcast as well. So you'll get to hear their stories. But what's also interesting is they themselves are all podcasters as well. So that was amazing. And so remember, every Saturday in March at 7 p.m, we have a Clubhouse room where we're going to be talking about anything to do with human experience, and whether that's wisdom, knowledge, spirituality, curiosity is one that's coming up. The topics are kind of varied. Come and join us, have a chat. Oh, there is more to add to that. This Saturday, okay, Saturday the 13th of March at 5 p.m. UK time, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, is a live streamed episode for PodVCon Spring Break. So this is a virtual global podcasting convention, and I am going to be joined by Mike Bivens, and we're talking about comic books, creativity, and make-believe. Now, you all know Mike because he joined me on a previous episode where he talked about moving during a pandemic, right? And so he is going to join me. So I'm really, really excited. And in order to get details on how to get access to this live streamed episode, just head on over to the Eternal Paradigm Facebook page and you can learn how to catch a live stream episode. So that's this Saturday, 13th of March, 5 p.m. UK time, and it's 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So I'm not going to confuse you with too many dates and times now. Just head on over to the Facebook page. You'll get updates of all the upcoming things that are happening outside of the podcast, but still related. If you have any feedback that you'd like to share with me, I am always open because I love receiving your Instagram DMs, your emails. For those of you who have access to my mobile number, I love receiving your messages, and I'm just so grateful. I mean, in a week, I'm getting messages from 5, sometimes 6, 7, 10 people just telling me that they've listened to an episode and it's got them thinking about something differently, or it's changed their perspective about something. And, I am just grateful, because that's what it's about. It's about sharing each of our differences and uniqueness and actually being open to that, right? I'm going to stop. I'm going to go into what this episode is about now. So this episode, I am joined by the lovely Karishma Sharma, and you're going to love her because she is absolutely delightful. Not only is she amazing to speak to, but she has this incredible story to tell about her journey, and especially as to why she calls herself the Energetics Queen. Enjoy.
I am Karishma Sharma. I am a spiritual business and mindset coach. I also am a breakthrough expert, helping people break through subconscious and energetic blocks, and also an energetics queen, I like to call myself.
I love this. I love this. So a lot of people will understand the spiritual, the mindset coach aspect. Talk about the energetics queen. I love that too. So can you elaborate a little bit more on what that means?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know a lot of people are probably aware of energy and prana and energy healing and Reiki and things like this. And my journey pretty much started off with pranic healing, which is where I first started connecting to spirituality. And I came across pranic healing as a way of healing myself and then going on to become a healer for others. And the more I started to understand about energy, the more I became intrigued about it. And then I started working with other coaches and just really, really understanding that energy is not just like a word. It is actually incredible when you understand it. And so I just started doing a lot more work with it. And now I call myself the energetics queen because I just do a lot of different things with it. I connect to source energy, connect to my higher self. I do energy healing. I can help people connect in with their emotions through energetics, help people do mindset work through energetics, and also just really, really helping people connect in with different things. It could be, calling in money. It could be getting them to build up their self-worth. It could be just connecting in with magic, for example, just different types of energy. And that is why I call myself the energetics queen in a nutshell.
That sounds like a very apt kind of title there. That's a lot of different aspects of life and human life that you're covering in that whole connection with energy. So just also, if you can explain, what does prana mean as well?
Prana is like the life force sort of thing. So it's really, really connecting in with, this is going sort of really deep, really quickly.
This is the deep stuff. This is how we roll. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's like life force. And so when we connect in with like energy, and we're talking about like different sort of levels of energy and things like that, that is like the breath and the pulses of the body, the network, it's just all the different connections. So yeah, it's really hard to break it down without going into a whole philosophy about it. But it's like a universal sort of energy, which is connected in with the body. That sort of summarizes it in a nutshell.
I like this. I'm going to have to call you the nutshell expert. Everything's in a nutshell. It's wicked.
Yeah, otherwise we'd be here forever.
Yeah, and you're right. It is. It's one of those incredibly philosophical, deep, exploratory subjects that is so dynamic and multi-layered that to break it down is really hard. So how did you first come to discover this? And what was your journey like?
I was actually going through a really, really dark time at the moment where I discovered energy healing and spirituality. I was actually going through anxiety attacks and depression at the time. And when I tried to get through that, I tried other sort of avenues, but nothing seemed to help, like counseling or anything like that. And I used to go to the temple every Sunday, and I just happened to come across, there was this group of people doing a pranic healing, and I didn't really understand anything about that. I just didn't know anything about spirituality or energy or healing or anything of the sort at the time. And I saw they were doing it for free, and I thought, I don't really know what this is, but I'm going to give it a go anyway. What have I got to lose? So I just sat down, and like, when I was going through that difficult time, even if it was the brightest day, I still felt like there was a cloud over me, and just like it raindrops and just gloomy, and everything looked really dull and not right. So I sat down, and as they started doing the energy healing, when I closed my eyes, I could just see darkness. And it sounds really crazy, but as they started to do the energy healing, that darkness started to shift, and it turned into gray, and then it just became sort of like a white light. And that was like the biggest moment for me, is like something actually worked. And I'd been looking for a solution for so long. I'd been journaling, I talked to counselors or just tried to get through things myself. And obviously, being Indian and just like this being such a taboo topic, didn't really speak outwardly about it much. So this was the first thing that actually worked for me. I just felt this lightness. My body felt like a whole weight had been lifted off. And I just felt so good. It was the best I felt in such a long time. And I was like, why has this not been in my life sooner? How did I not know about this? And I was just like, from then on, I was just like, I have to come back. And then they were basically like, you're so receptive to energy. And they were like, why don't you become an energy healer, or a pranic healer rather? And I was like, okay. So then started my journey into healing. And then I started moving up the different levels, got certified, and then went on to become a crystal healer. And then I sort of went on further my journey, and then connected in with my higher self and guides. And then I started doing healing with my higher self and guides as well, and helping people that way. So that is basically my story around how energy healing came into my life, if that explains it.
Wow, that really does. Really does. Thank you for sharing that. I guess my question in relation to that whole experience is, do you feel, or have you reflected on the possibility that the depression that you were feeling that couldn't be shifted was because you are so receptive to energy and so able to absorb so much? I don't know if that's ever come up for you.
Yeah, I do definitely feel that. So when I started off with energy healing, they taught me basically how to disconnect from other people's energy and how to clean my aura and things like that. So that was really eye-opening, because I had no clue. I didn't know that actually, how they talk about like you can pick up on people's vibe, or you hear about empaths always picking up on other people's energies. I just had no idea about any of that. So I would definitely pick up a lot of vibes or energy of other people. And it's only when you actually come to understand it, then you're like, oh, right. These are the type of people that are draining your energy. These are the type of people that you need to sort of let go of from your life, because there are those people where you come across them, and not being horrible to anyone, but they do basically drain your energy, because it's either like a toxic connection, or they're just not right for the frequency or the vibration that you're at. And so it is really interesting that you asked that. No one's really asked me that before. So that is a really great question. And to answer it, yeah, I think very receptive. And now that I'm aware of it, I'm taking more practices to shift that energy out and really be conscious of who I'm letting into my inner circle, and just being really conscious of making sure there's no one I'm in contact with that is really, really sucking out my energy. So yeah, thank you for that question. Very interesting one.
Oh, you're so welcome. Please, it's fascinating. I fully connect with a lot of the different things that you've spoken about. And my reason for asking that is because I read a science journal not too long ago, actually, saying that depression itself is our almost like a protection mechanism for humans. And for me, that puts so much into perspective about why I had so many different bouts of depression, like why it was so frequent. And you also talk about the energy process and how to kind of almost detox yourself of other energy effectively. So what was that whole thing like when you actually discovered that you were going to be energy cleansed? And there's a whole process and there are things that you do to do this for yourself. What were your initial thoughts? And then how did your body follow?
Oh, that's an interesting one as well. Yeah, so it was like, really? I can just do this? And when I had the process initially, it was just like, this seems like a lot of hard work and a lot of stuff that you have to do to sort of get rid of it. And, sometimes you get a little bit lazy and you don't want to do the processes. And then you get into bed and you remember that, I haven't cleansed and all this stuff. And then you jump back out of bed and stuff like that. So it's about building that habit of becoming a lot more frequent with it. And yeah, I think it takes time. When it's something that's so new to you, you're just like, do I really have to do this? Can't it just disappear on its own? But yeah, you sort of start to build up a habit and then you sort of get used to it. And from then on, you build up more and more of stamina to all the external energy as well. So I'm sorry, I forgot what the second part of your question was.
How was your body feeling?
Oh, yeah.
What was the mind-body kind of feeling to this energy cleansing?
It was a big shock to the system. And I've had fallen really ill, or where there's a lot of like energy being released. When you really clean out a lot of energy, sometimes you can end up with like flu-like symptoms, for example. And I've had clients saying to me that they've either felt ill after a session, not like as in physically sick, but feeling a bit achy or a little bit flu-like, or people have been scared to actually do energy healing because they've heard that actually you can get a bit ill. But I think it's just accepting that it's not a bad thing. It's actually just your body readjusting to letting go of a lot of junk that's in your system. And if I get really technical, then I can start talking about the cells and what low vibration they're holding. And when you're actually clearing that all out, and then your body's readjusting to all this empty space, which was actually blocked off before by low vibration. And then once that's gone, it's just got all this free room to you can breathe easier, for example. And it's just a big, big adjustment. And I think sometimes it gets a bit like, oh gosh, I don't feel so good. But as you start to do more and more, your body starts to adjust to the new you, essentially. And then you start to see differences with your skin, differences with your hair, for example. And it's incredible how you can start to shine and everyone starts to notice there's differences within your body as well. So it's really interesting how it works. And it just takes a bit of dedication. And I know it sounds daunting to think, oh God, I don't want my body to start having all these reactions or anything. But it's just because your body is so used to being in a certain way. So it's kind of like when people go through diets or whatever, they also sometimes don't feel as great, but it's because your body is cleansing out what's been there for so long. So it's the same with energy, really. It just does like a bit of a detox and then you're, back to your new self.
Yeah, I totally get what you mean. And it is quite interesting that you said, obviously with your contact with people who have said potentially or thought that, oh, I don't feel very well, I don't want to do this, or I've heard stuff about this. It fascinates me that it's that almost like lack of understanding, because it's okay to fill yourself up with junk food to hide or disguise or mask how you're really feeling, but to actually genuinely feel your own power through a process of detoxing is so alien to us, right?
Absolutely. It is. It's so alien, and it is quite fascinating to see exactly what you just said, how many people are willing to take in that negative energy or take in those foods that aren't so great for themselves, but to do like the opposite is like to have that cleanse or have that detox is like a really, really big deal. And it does come down to, I guess, a lack of understanding. And there are more of us out there now trying to help people to understand, which is really incredible. And that's exactly why we're having this conversation, because you're on a mission to help people through your podcast as well, which is really incredible. So yeah, it's making sure people are starting to get more of the information. And there's more of us on a mission to do that now. So hopefully more people will understand.
You're right. Absolutely right. And to add to that is, it seems like we're happier feeling, or no, I wouldn't say happier, but we're in a space of this contentment or being content with being disconnected. And that's where people like you, and I guess me, are coming along and saying, no, we want to shake that up a little bit, because you can be amazing and you are amazing, but you have to do a bit of work, which you've all described in your own personal process. So I'm intrigued. Tell us, where did you grow up? Where are you from? Because you mentioned that some of the challenges you had was around being Indian, a lack of understanding around depression. So if you're willing to share.
Yeah, absolutely. So my grandparents are from India. My parents were born in Africa and I was born in the UK. So if you want to confuse a kid, that's the way to do it. So, pretty much brought up a Hindu and, followed all the Indian traditions. And in that sense, just generally what I've come across is that it's very much like when it comes to mental health and talking about your feelings and things like that, it's very much, keep it to yourself or keep it within the family or don't talk about it openly. And so that's been a really, really big thing for me, is going through that myself. And now publicly speaking about it, it's like a major thing. And I just feel like there needs to be someone who speaks up about it, because there's so many people I know who have come to me who I've been completely shocked about, but they've been through their own personal journey of depression or anxiety attacks or panic attacks. And you're doing a great job speaking up about it. And that just makes me feel so amazing, is just, being able to help people where they feel like they haven't got a voice, but now using my voice to speak up for them. It's just really, really powerful. And I know that there's more people that need it as well. So if I can help more people out there, then so be it. And you've explained that you've been through your own journey, and obviously you're sharing your journey too. So it's really, really great for people to hear.
Thank you. Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. And it's amazing that you have contact with people who are actually telling you to carry on, because there's a huge need. So if we can move on, I'd like to talk to you more about the kind of spirituality aspect, because we've touched on the energy. And I'm quite interested, because you said you stumbled across the Branic breathing, the Branic classes, and then moving on from there, that's how you started touching on into spirituality. So run me through that process. What happened there?
So, yeah, it was very much like my eyes were open to a different world. And the more I started to understand about spirituality, is that it was pretty much like connecting in with who you are. And it wasn't about religion. It wasn't about following certain rules. I just felt like it was a lot more freeing. And then I basically started working with an incredible coach, my coach, who is based in the US, Dr. Erin Ford Haskell. And she is part of the New Thought movement. So that is like Oprah Winfrey, Michael Beckwith, some of the amazing people who have come out of studying that. And I was just intrigued. So I started doing a certification in spirituality and business and understanding it from a New Thought, ancient history, ancient teachings perspective. And it just blew my mind. And from there, I learned about the subconscious mind and how to reprogram the subconscious mind, which is the biggest element of my coaching, is helping people to reprogram the subconscious mind. And just understanding so much more about how we are actually the creators of our lives. And that was just a huge eye-opener for me, because anytime anything went wrong or anything that was going on, I always looked at the external world and blamed other people, or just thought, this is happening to me rather than for me. And then the moment I started studying spirituality and understanding quantum physics and metaphysics and New Thought, then I started to understand, actually, I'm creating what is happening in the external world. So whatever is happening within me is actually coming up in the external world. It's the universe reflecting that back. It's like looking at a mirror. So it was just such an eye-opener, and that just really blew my mind and really made me understand why, when I was going through such a hard time, when I was struggling with depression and anxiety and all that, why I was taking it, sort of blaming other people for it. But actually, it's because I was having my own internal battle that I needed to deal with in order for things on the outside to reflect back. And now the people who I blamed at the time, I've really changed my relationship with them because I've done so much of my inner work. And so, it just really understanding so much about the mind, empowerment, shifting your identity, connecting in with like why you're upset about something, just understanding so much more about the mindset. That's just taken me through a massive journey. And now I'm studying to become a spiritual practitioner, which is really diving deep into limited beliefs and really shifting energy, and also just really helping people to connect in with who they truly are. And that has been a massive journey for me. I've had to, as people talk about peeling away the layers of an onion, it's like I've had to shift so much of my own stuff, which has then put me in a place where I can now help so many other people, because I've just been through so much of my own stuff, done so much of my own inner work. I've done past life regressions as well. So like healing from past lives. I know that probably scares some people, but it's incredible work. And that's what I always share with my clients, is that I'm not just telling you to go out there and do the inner work or work with me and, let me help you do it. It's because I've done it myself and I've seen how much it's changed my life for the better. And that's why I advise clients or potential clients, or even the listeners on here, if you really are keen on making change, if you really want to see a difference or do more, then start with inner work. That is going to be the biggest achievement you'll ever make.
I love that. So in terms of regression, right, past life regression, can you just, in a nutshell, explain what that means, or what it was for you at least?
Yeah. So I'm actually trained in past life regression as well. What it is basically taking clients into a past life. And I know not a lot of people are open to it, but what it is with past lives is that you go into it and it doesn't matter if what's coming up is real or not. The whole sort of idea around it is that you're neutralizing trauma from a past life. And this will basically help you to identify how the trauma from a past life is basically projecting into this lifetime. And it's just that you're basically getting to a point of freedom and really releasing it, because what happens is it sits in our DNA. And when there's a lot of trauma on there, then this gets passed down and it sort of scrunches in some ways the DNA. But the more you release, the more trauma you release, even through past lives, it sort of relaxes in some ways the DNA, which then can read properly. And so it's like basically a mental picture. Could be fantasy, could be reality. That doesn't matter. It's about the emotions that are coming up and the experiencing of it, and really neutralizing that trauma and then putting in something positive. And then you're writing a new story for yourself, essentially, for this lifetime. And when I first tried it, I thought, is this really going to work? But when I went into the past life regression, what came up was like this picture, and it was so incredible how it really projected into this lifetime. It was just this whole feeling of, lack of self-worth. It was this whole, basically someone was overpowering me in terms of not letting me speak. I just felt unheard, unseen, unloved. And that has projected so much into this lifetime. And it just blew my mind how it was so clear from that picture into this lifetime. And to be able to release that and then move forward in this lifetime is like pretty incredible. So yeah. I hope that explains it.
It does. I totally get it. I love listening to your experience because your realization was how much of, and it's not just our past lives as well, right? Because regression is even our childhood.
Absolutely.
And imagine that, you probably know this, but I guess for the listeners is we're carrying in our DNA potential past life trauma or whatever. And then we have a childhood, which has its own layer of stuff, and we grow up. And so when you say kind of de-onioning, that's effectively what's happened. We're just layers of different stuff.
Yeah, it really is. And not to sound like this is a real downer, like, oh my God, all this programming. But yeah, we pick up programming from parents, and then we have DNA, as in from our grandparents, our ancestors, and the traumas they've experienced. And that's come down to us as well. And that's why this generation now is so powerful, because we have the ability to break the cycle of trauma that, has got passed on from generation to generation as well, which I just love that. I just love that we've got so much power to heal. And what they say spiritually is that when we do our healing, we're healing 7 generations forward and 7 generations backwards, which is so powerful. And I just love that.
That's amazing. I've got goosebumps. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And that's the power of healing work in this generation.
Yeah. Absolutely. There's obviously a lot more people who want to do healing in this day and age compared to, I know, Hinduism, for example, has a lot of spiritual aspects to it. But I just feel like people are a lot more aware of mental health and healing in terms of dealing with traumas and understanding also the subconscious mind, and understanding that the subconscious mind runs 95 to 97% of what we do. And the programming in the subconscious mind is often outdated. So a lot of people are running on old belief systems. And now we've got such a big understanding around it. It's, our turn to basically go into the subconscious mind and really clean it out and put some new incredible stuff in there, more empowering stuff in there, more positive stuff in there, and just run off newer beliefs rather than the old beliefs that were possibly from ancestors or past lives. So I think that is so, so powerful. And that's what makes me so passionate about my coaching, is being able to help people do that. Is just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. This is one of my next questions, actually. You know, you're talking about helping people. You've, on your personal journey, made these incredible, significant shifts in your own life, in your perception, in your spiritual path, and in your own understanding of energy. And you've done not only the inner work, but you've done the outer kind of work to really make sense of it all in the context of this world, right? So you're bringing all of that together to work with different clients. And my question to you, I guess, is what have been life's biggest successes for you? And when I mean success, I mean in however you term success to be.
Ooh, that's a good one. I've got a few, but they're very different. So what I will sort of share is that one of my biggest passions is travel. And for me, it was traveling across the world, backpacking across the world on my own. That was a major success for me because, you know, it was just like, again, going back to being an Indian girl and, you know, me going off on my own, like my mom was freaking out. She was like, you're not going. And I'm like, yep, I'm off to Australia. So it's the ability to just do stuff like that on my own. It's just been so incredible and so empowering. And setting up my coaching business as well has been super incredible. It's been a hard journey. It's been so hard because what I was doing was I was doing all my inner work plus setting up a business, plus trying to understand all this science and spirituality and bring them together, plus understand why I had my struggles, and to then understanding energy. And it was just all a bit of a big mix at the time. But to like now go through my business journey and really going through all those steps for myself to now be able to help other people go through it. And when I work with a client one-on-one and I see them have those breakthroughs, that is what just lights me up, is to see and be able to help people have breakthroughs. Like those are massive successes because it is just incredible. You can literally see the charge release off their body like during the session. And when they make a new declaration for themselves, they're just so empowered, and just knowing that I can do that for people is just absolutely incredible. It's just a massive success for me for sure. I guess another success is the ability to balance myself when I'm going through a difficult time. Before, I used to spiral a lot. I would go into worst case scenario straight away. And I've always been a massive warrior. But now I'm able to really catch myself quickly and balance myself, which is really powerful for me because I used to be a bit of a wreck. If something happened before, I would be a complete wreck. Even if it was the smallest thing, I just found it really sent me off. And now, after doing all this work, I've got so many tools and so many techniques that I can use. I've got an amazing community around me. So just being able to stay in control of my emotions and my thoughts, I think that is a massive success as well for me.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing those. So I guess what I'd like to ask, and what I ask all my guests, is do you have a question that you would like to leave for the listeners?
Yeah, I think what I would like to ask is, if you were to continue with how you are, does that make you truly happy? Are you connected to who you truly are underneath all those layers? Are you connected to the true you? And if you aren't, are you willing to do the work to get to the true you? That is something that I would like to leave with the listeners, because connecting in with who you truly are means doing all the work to release all these limited beliefs and all this programming and do a lot of the reprogramming and just really, really getting deep into a lot of stuff that people tend to want to leave behind. So it's just something that I like to get people thinking about is, are you connected with the true you? So yeah, that's what I would like to leave people with.
I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Eternal Paradigm. Join me next time.